Hablas español? Parlez-vous français? 你会说中文吗？
Habla español? Parlez-vous français? 你会说俄语吗？
If you answered sí, oui, or 会, and you're
If you answer sí, oui, or we,
watching this in English, chances are you belong to the world's bilingual and multilingual majority.
and you are watching this in English, chances are you belong to the world's bilingual and multilingual majority.
And besides having an easier time traveling or watching movies without subtitles,
And besides having an easier time traveling or watching movies without subtitles,
knowing two or more languages means that your brain may actually look and work differently than those of your monolingual friends.
knowing two or more languages means that your brain may actually look and work differently than those of your monolingual friends.
So, what does it really mean to know a language?
So, what does it really mean to know a language?
Language ability is typically measured in two active parts, speaking and writing.
Language ability is typically measured into active parts, speaking and writing,
And two passive parts, listening and reading.
and two passive parts, listening and reading.
While a balanced bilingual has
While while a parent bilingual
near equal abilities across the board in two languages,
has near equal ap- ap- abilities across the board into language.
most bilinguals around the world know and use their languages in varying proportions.
More language around the world how and use their language in varying proportions. proportions.
And depending on their situation and how
And depending on their situation
they acquired each language, they can
and how they acquired each language,
be classified into three general types.
they can be classified into three general types.
For example, let's take Gabriella, whose family immigrates to the US from Peru when she's 2 years old.
For example, let's take Gabriella, whose family immigrated to the US from Peru when she 2 years old.
As a compound bilingual,
As a compound bilingual,
Gabriella develops two linguistic codes simultaneously.
Gabriella developed two linguistic codes simultaneously
With a single set of concepts,
with a single set of concepts,
learning both English and Spanish as she begins to process the world around her.
learning both English and Spanish as she begins to process the world around her.
Her teenage brother, on the other hand, might be a coordinate bilingual.
Her teenage brother, on the other hand, might be a coordinate bilingual.
working with two sets of concepts,
working with two sets of concepts,
learning English in school while continuing to speak Spanish at home and with friends.
working with learning English in school while continuing to speak Spanish at home with from and with friends.
Finally, Gabriella's parents are likely to be subordinate bilinguals,
Finally, Gabriella's parents are likely to be subordinate bilinguals
who learn a secondary language by filtering it through their primary language. Because
who learn a secondary language by uh, filtering it through their primary language.
all types of bilingual people can become fully proficient in a language regardless of accent or pronunciation.
Because of types of bilinguals, people can become fully proficient in language, regardless of accent or pronunciation.
The difference may not be apparent to a casual observer,
The difference may not be apparent to a casual observer,
but recent advances in brain imaging technology have
but recent advances in brain imaging technology
given neurolinguists a glimpse into how specific aspects of language learning affect the bilingual brain.
have given neurolinguists a glimpse into how specific aspects of language learning affect the bilingual brain.
It's well known that the brain's left hemisphere is more
It's well known that the brain's left hemisphere
dominant in analytical and logical processes,
hemisphere is more dominant and analytical in logical process, processors,
while the right hemisphere is more active in emotional and social ones.
while the right hemisphere is more active in emotional and social ones.
Though this is a matter of degree, not an
Though this is a matter of the degrees,
absolute split.
not absolute split.
The fact that language involves both types of functions, while lateralization develops gradually with age,
The fact that language involves both types of functions, while later while lateralization develops gradually with age,
has led to the critical period hypothesis.
has led to the critical period hypothesis, hy- hypothesis,
Gradually with age, has led to the critical period hypothesis.
hypothesis, hypothesis, Peirce hypothesis, Peirce hypothesis.
According to this theory,
According to this according to this theory,
children learn languages more easily because the plasticity of their developing brains lets them
children learn language more easily because the plasticity of their developed brains less less
use both hemispheres in language acquisition, while in most adults,
Less them use both hemispheres in language acquisition,
Language is lateralized to one hemisphere, usually
while in most others, language is laterally, lateralized to one hemisphere,
the left.
usually the left.
If this is true,
If this is true,
learning a language in childhood may give
learning learning a language in childhood
you a more holistic grasp
may give you a more holistic grasp
of its social and emotional contexts.
of its social and emotional context.
Conversely, recent
Conversely,
research showed that people who learned a second language in adulthood exhibit less emotional bias.
conversely, recent research showed that people who learned a second language in adulthood exhibit less
Bias and a more rational approach when confronting problems in the second language than in their native one. But regardless